I genuinely have had this a couple of times. It's like, oh, you can come clean my house. I've actually had someone say that to me.
The big thing for me, I think, about general life is how people think OCD is not really serious. A lot of people are happy to say, I'm a bit OCD. I love certain TV shows and I'm obsessed with them, and I compulsively watch them over and over again until the end.
Yeah.
It's not a disorder because I'm not distressed about it, I love it.
Yeah.
OCD is a disorder, and it's not something that you want to do.
If you do it and you say it's OCD and you like it, it's not OCD. I think the hardest thing for me is that when you get to a point where OCD is so debilitating that you just can't function, and then when you're at a point where you can function and work and sort of live a normal life, for using a better phrase, people assume that you've got better and it's gone away. And I think what's really hard for me to express to people is the unpredictability, whereby there can be situations at work that don't affect my OCD at all, and then one thing can happen that completely sends me into a spiral and can just shut me down for the day.
Well, I would say that it's something that dominates your whole sort of experience of life, and I would describe it probably as constraining and restricting and taking away your freedom, really.
For me, it's just questioning every single facet of life and thoughts. So it's the fact that they never stop.
Yeah, and it's relentless and exhausting. I think that is something that I don't think people realise.
It's like the mental side of it that really takes the toll.
OCD is about a way to stay safe and a way to feel safe.
Like you're following guidelines, rules that you've been given, and if you deviate from any of those rules that have been set out for you, something's going to happen.
People sometimes look at people with mental health problems, whatever it is, and think that they're going to be needy in a relationship. And I think when I have relationship issues and people around me and like our friends and stuff look in on the situation, they automatically think, oh, well, James has got mental health problems, so therefore like he's the problem. And it must be really, really difficult for the other one, you know, poor them and everything. Whereas actually a lot of the time, I think because I've struggled with certain things, I might have a bit more empathy, I can be quite patient, and then also like, I find it really difficult to ask for help in general. So I'm not very demanding and I'm not needy at all.
I think for me it's that like my OCD can be quite visible, and I carry a lot of shame about some of the stuff that I have to do, and I think that's really hard when you have to let someone else be present and see that. And I think that certainly had an effect on how open I've been to finding love and being with people. Like OCD has affected every part of my life, including like my sex life and how that operates and feels and works. And I think what's really hard is acknowledging that myself, and it's taken years and years and years for me to be able to say, I actually sometimes find talking about sex and having sex really difficult. And that's something that we don't even talk about sex anyway, but then talking about a mental health issue and sex is just like a major no-no. You pigeonhole yourself with this idea of, oh, I'm mentally ill, I've got an illness. You define yourself by that, I think, when you're first in those throes of figuring out where you fit in society. Being mentally ill is just a tiny, tiny, tiny part of what makes up you as a person. In the same way, I felt like an alien. I really did. I felt like so isolated from other people because I didn't talk to anyone else about it. Nobody really got it. Nobody wanted to know. I wasn't able to go to school. I didn't have places to meet people who are my age. More recently is that I want to take part and to fit in and to join in activities with friends and be parts of groups. I find it difficult to not be invited to things sometimes, not to be asked to do things because like I'm not able to cope as well as everyone else. I'm able to cope really, really well. I have just very unhealthy ways to cope sometimes, but I still want to be asked. I still want to be included. I think it's that, you know, you want the permission to turn something down or say no or say actually that might be
the choice.
The choice. I think that's the thing. I would want them to know that they're not an alien. It isn't the end of the world. it doesn't mean that their life is going to be hard forever, and it doesn't mean that they're not going to be able to enjoy life. And I would want people to realise that hope is there, and it's not the end.
Everything passes. Things can get better with the right help and the right support. Try and talk, to try and break the silence and to break the dominance of this, feel like you've been heard a little bit about it, and then trying to go and get some help for it. And it's not your fault for having it in the first place, and it's not your fault that it's difficult to get better from it. It's your strength that you've been able to get a diagnosis in the first place, that you've been able to come forward with it, and recognising all those positive things as well.